Recording. There we go. Okay, so the Recreation Committee is starting its meeting at 4:02 p.m. on Tuesday, August 22nd. This is Barbara Bigelow, chair of the meeting, and also in attendance is Christine Marglin, Ann Brigham, and Elaine Palayo. And Christine Robinson will be joining in just a moment. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was that special meeting. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Hey, Christine, can someone move to, okay, that's a movement, that's a second. All in favor, raise your hand. And it is unanimous to accept the minutes from the last meeting. Okay. So we have 4 things on the agenda, and Mary Ann is likely going to be joining us in about 15 to 20 minutes because of to ask for $1,500 again, because we got $3,000 again. So that was very nice. First thing on the agenda, and I sent this around, is to discuss, and then if we agree to it, just vote on the protocol for new members. This is what I sent out in early summer. People gave comments back. I incorporated the comments. So I don't know if there's any discussion about this, if anybody saw further things that they would like to add, change, whatever.
Looks good.
Okay, great. Now we just have to find some people who want to be new members, but I've got ideas. Okay, so I don't know whether we need, if a protocol needs to be voted on. You're kind of gotta, either
Why
way.
not? Why not?
Okay, so is there a movement to accept this protocol for accepting new members?
I make a motion to accept the protocol.
And a second, great. All those in favor, please raise their hand. And once again, it is unanimous. So that was very simple and straightforward. The second thing on the agenda, oops, I have all my notes on that piece of paper, is Family Field Day. I got in touch with Stephen, and he suggested February for the Family Field Day, because it's so much more fun in the snow when you're cold. September 23rd, and then a rain date of September 30th. How do those dates sound to people?
I'm sorry, I'm going to need to ask you to repeat the dates.
Oh, of course. Sure. So his first choice was Saturday, September 23rd.
Okay.
And the rain date would be Saturday, September 30th.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Sure.
Cool. All right. So I will let him know. Just so you know, I am not able to be here on the 30th. I am going to be going to a service for my aunt, who is the last of that generation. So yeah, so I will be away. How many?
God bless.
What?
God bless. God bless.
Yeah. She was 97. They all lived way into their 90s. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm coming from a long-lived bunch, so just brace yourselves.
I'll be there.
Is she gone yet? No, not yet. I probably shouldn't make fun of that, but we do live a long time in my family.
So I can be at both. I don't know if anybody else wants to.
I can definitely be there on the 30th. Can anyone else be there on the 23rd?
I can be there on the 23rd. I'm not sure about the 30th. I won't know closer.
And Elaine, you're muted. You
Maybe
what?
My phone was ringing, but yes, I can.
Okay, so we're all set then for
On
that.
the 23rd. I don't know about the 30th also.
Yeah, I can be there for the 30th, and Christine, Ari, look like you could be there for the yeah. Now I have an idea. That has to do with this. So some of the younger parents, and I, stupidly didn't get the names written down, said, oh, being on the recreation committee sounds like a great idea. There was one woman, I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, who I did meet, and I've sent her, she works at the school, and I'm going to track her down. But I was thinking it might be nice to make some kind of sign that we have on the table that just says that we're looking for new members and let us know or
Great
sign
idea.
here. And also that we approach, especially parents that we've seen there before. Yeah, Christine.
Do you want me to talk to Stephen? And I remember that person.
Yeah,
I'll
her
reach out
name,
to Stephen.
I have her name because I sent her multiple emails and then I thought, oh, I'm just being a pest. And then I thought, well, depending on I don't know what her position is at the elementary school, but it may be that she just doesn't check that email once the school year is over, in which case,
Mhm.
you know, if
I'll
she
reach
just
out to
hasn't
him.
seen them. But
I'll
yeah,
reach
I
out
can,
to him.
I'll send you her name. Let me
All right,
make a
cool.
note of that.
Cool.
Okay. I'm gonna make a note. So send name to Christine. Yeah, because she was definitely interested.
She was,
expressing
yeah.
some real interest in that.
Great.
Okay. So, you know, let's think about, you know, I can get some poster board or something. Is anybody, well, BZ is artistic. I don't know if she's going to be around. Is anybody here? artistic?
She can make it beforehand.
Oh, okay, then we'll just ask her to make it.
We'll just appoint her.
Okay,
Yeah.
alrighty.
Oh,
All those in favor? All right. So let's get that in the minutes. BZ is
Yeah.
appointed. Yeah, because I think that will be, this is not an onerous committee. I mean, I don't know if you all agree with that, but it's, you know, once a month we meet and then we have activities that are fun and what's not to like about that? Yeah, Christine?
I'm agreeing.
Oh, you're agreeing. Great. Thank you. Thank you. So, all right, so great. And I don't think there's anything we need to do for Family Field Day. I still have all the water. I have all the cookies. One of the bags of potato chips got eaten, but I'll replace it. Lisa and I just kept looking at it and she said, can I have some? I said, no, you can't have some. I'm saving it. Mom, can we have some of that? But no, we can't have some of the popcorn. And by the third time I was like, well, why can't we eat the popcorn? So I will replace the bag. That's definitely on.
Do we need fruit?
We need oranges, that's all.
You need oranges and
fruit.
bananas. Yeah. So that
Okay.
will.
I can get the bananas and the oranges.
Okay, great. And then just give me the receipts and I'll make sure you get reimbursed for that.
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
not going with you, Christine. Not after the last time.
What happened?
God.
What happened?
Oh my God, we got caught in a rainstorm and we almost got flattened. There was a tree limb went down
Yeah,
on the
that's
road,
it.
like about 20 feet in front of our car.
Oh my.
Oh, I'm not doing that anymore.
It's called an adventure,
Yeah,
girlfriend.
oh yeah. Yeah, you were praying in the seat next to me.
No, but we had a good walk before that.
We did.
Oh my
We
freaking
did.
God.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to make the assumption that Christine didn't cause that to happen. So
I don't
I'll be
know.
safe to
I
No.
don't know.
Oh, I don't think so, Elaine. Oh my freaking God.
Could you get in the minutes that there's disagreement about whether or not Christine caused it?
Controls nature.
Controls nature.
Right.
Are.
Okay, so I think basically we're all set with that. We can just be in touch with each other. The details, actually, we won't be meeting before then, so we will, I will send out an email with the details. It's getting the table, seeing about getting the tents again, right? We like,
Well, only if she's taken them down for the year.
oh,
I'm sorry. The library tents weren't available, but you found another source for tents, right?
I didn't, did somebody?
Tim and Nancy have a tent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the library tents, once they were put up, they were no longer available and they had already been put up for the year, this year, unlike last year, they hadn't been.
Okay,
So I know Tim and Nancy have one tent.
okay, I've got Tim and Nancy written down. Yeah, and then I think I've got a big table that can be used. I think
I have a table.
tables, okay, so we're set with the tables. You know, bring folding chairs, whatever, things like that. And I think that, and then the food, did we want to get awards again, little medals? Do we have?
I still have plenty of them.
Okay, great, so we'll have that. let's see, there was something, was there anything else about that? No, so I'll send, again, let me make a note of this. I'll send an email with a list of the things that we will need. And then just add to that for anything that I'm missing.
So are we putting it in the road town, you know, wherever we
Yes,
can put it?
Definitely,
Right.
yeah.
Cool,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah. And it will go on our page, and so announcement in Road Town News. Now we'll probably, so is there anything else on Family Field Day? Okay, so Mary Ann will likely be joining us, but we can start this discussion just in terms of the budget. The reason that this was on the agenda in the first, hold on, I have a cat that's kind of wanting to come in.
Hi, Joe's
There we
Meals.
go.
This is Shutesbury.
Yeah, that cat hates me. I don't know why. And now it's complaining because nothing I do is good enough. Store. There, now I'm unmuted. So we have $3,000 again, which Elaine says is normal, but to me it was like magic because we've been getting $1,000. We went and asked for $3,000 last year. I assumed we were going to be getting 1,000 and we got 3,000. So that, and this year we spent everything except I think for $60 or $6, one of those two. So we did spend it.
And that's
Now-
the whole point of it, is that the FinCom checks budgets around January, February, and looks at how much you've spent and how much you probably are going to spend. And they're pretty good at keeping every budget stable as
Great.
long as you're using it. I mean, if they had given us 3,000 again this year and we only used 1,000, you better believe they'll cut it.
Yeah.
So we have to be sure to use it.
Okay, well, we have a big ask, which is the same big ask as last year. Mary Ann is not here yet, but if we can start the discussion. And if it turns out that we need her here to be able to take a vote, then we'll just wait until she comes. So Mary Ann is asking the committee to co-sponsor the 4 free weekly fitness classes and contribute $1,500 towards these classes. This was the same amount as last year. So is there any discussion about this? Yeah. Christine.
I'm personally reluctant to commit half of our entire budget before we've even started. You know, like I feel like it should be sort of the tail end. Like first we come up with what we want to do for the year. This is the whole year, right? It's like through June or June 1st or something like that.
June 30th, I think, the end of, isn't
Yep,
it?
June 30th. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I would prefer to flip it and say, well, if we plan everything we want to do and we've got money left over, sure, we'll contribute what's left over. I mean, this is just my feeling. I mean, obviously, just speaking for myself, I would rather figure out what we as a committee, or, you know, like those are choices the library's making. And then, sure, if we have money left over, but I feel like we should be free to make our own choices about what we want to do, commit the money to those things. And then if money's left over, absolutely.
Okay,
I mean,
I
that's just,
agree. I would like
Yeah, I think
to
that's,
second that.
yeah, I do too. I think at least to have a conversation about what people are interested in for next year, which I know Barbara, you have on the agenda for today. So, yeah.
okay. Then when she comes, we'll just tell her that. Yeah, Christine.
So I do all the classes when I can, and I'm going to say, yes, we should give her money. Like, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, I know
And-
there's definitely a need there. I mean, the way I see it is that we're sort of balancing both something that's really important to the community, which is these classes, and is very consistent with what our our mission is. On the other hand, there's also the programming that we may want to be able to do, and perhaps we'll end up donating something, but it may not be the full $1,500.
Okay, so I just want to add that, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are the classes that Mary Ann has for us, and they're all free. and there might be another meditative class as well. And I'm going to advocate for it because I need it. And there's all these people in the community that really depend on it because we can't like be in person.
Mhm.
So that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, Anne?
I was just going to say what I appreciate about what Christine M was saying is just similar to what we were doing with new people, is just to have a process. So maybe the process is we have a discussion about everything we're interested in, and then we can look at it all, including the library events, and make a decision. So it's not a for or against, it's just let's not vote to allocate half of the budget to something without having a discussion of everything. So Christine M, I'm not going to speak for you, but like you said, you're not against anything. You're just asking, I think, for a switch of how we do things.
Right.
I think that's
So
a great
Marianne-
idea.
Yeah, go ahead. So Marianne, you're kind of coming in, we started a little bit earlier. And where the conversation is right now is that there's reluctance to commit half of our budget right now to that program, because we have not, as a committee, looked at what it is that we want to be doing. So we want sort of what?
I just said, okay.
Oh, yeah. So what we want to do, and that's partly what's on the agenda today, is to look at some of the programming that we have been thinking about doing, what that's going to cost, and what this looks like in terms of allocating our budget. So it's not a vote against it. It's just saying, before making a commitment to commit half of our budget, let's look at what are the things that are on our list of to-dos for this coming year.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
So I think that's what we're going to do then.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, so we're pretty much done with the budget part of the discussion. Now what kind of, just because I'd like to know, what kind of timing do you have, Marianne? Because I don't know what this means in terms of being able to offer the programming.
So it doesn't mean anything in terms of being able to offer the programming. And I think that last year I came to you later in the fiscal year, and the funding came later in the fiscal year. So that's, I'll still need it. I can make do for now, and I'll still need it later. So, and it's just that, that you gave me some funding last year. Historically, the rec committee has helped fund these programs. And so I've just sort of submitted the ask saying, we're still here, we're still doing the programs. People really want the programs and benefit from the programs. And it's a big, I spend $10,000 to $12,000 a year on fitness programming. And a lot of people participate, and it's really good for the community. But if you have plans for your budget for programming, then that's fine too. The fitness programs probably are not going to go away, but it just means I'll have to find other sources of funding.
Yeah, and as somebody said right before you came, this isn't a vote against doing it. It's rather a vote of looking at it in the context of what some of the ideas are that we have for programming. Yeah, Christine?
Yep.
So, we have an aging population here in Shutesbury, and I'm going to be 60 in like less than 30 days. And I'm going to tell you, I look forward to my Tuesdays, my Wednesdays, and my Thursdays. I don't do the Saturday with Jay, but we need it. And I'm just going to be honest about, like, it's something we need. And I'm hoping and praying that we can continue it to help Marianne. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks. Christine?
Yeah, just for clarity's sake, Marianne, maybe you could tell us like how much you need, like like, I don't want to get into all the weeds, but just sort of like,
Right.
how much do you have budgeted? How much do you get from, say, the Council on Aging, or if there's any other entities that give money? How much of a shortfall, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, if all 4 classes happened, you know, let's just say 48 weeks a year, it can be, it can be, I have calculated up to $12,000. Last year it was, I don't have it in front of me. I think it was about $10,800. The Council on Aging contributed about 3,500 last year. They have budgeted 3,000 for this current fiscal year. And then when they get into their sort of second half of the year, they'll reevaluate that and then give a little bit of extra funding if they can. In my town appropriated budget, I have $2,000 for programming. And I spend about $18,000 total on programming, and these fitness classes are the bulk of it. You know, they're 2/3 of my total programming. I don't have any grant funding for fitness classes right now. So if we do the Council on Aging and my town appropriated budget, that's $5,000, which leaves, you know, we could say at least $6,000, which is a lot of money to count on from the Friends of the Library when they really are focused on fundraising for the new library. But they did just do a fundraiser, and they're pretty close to having raised about $7,000. So, which is good, but that money's not all for fitness programming. And then I'll just remind you that back in the beginning, I would do kind of series of fitness classes, and the rec committee helped build it into a year-round thing. And when the rec committee was running some classes, it was fee-based, and I would get a lot of feedback from folks that they either didn't like paying the fee or they couldn't afford to pay the fee. And those classes were in person. And so sometimes people were turned away because there wasn't room for them. Now, because they're on Zoom, we don't have to turn people away. But I have to work really hard to raise enough money to offer these classes every year, and I have a lot of demand for these classes. So each class has between 10 and 20 participants on a weekly basis. Some people take 2 classes a week, some people take only 1, some take all 4. And a lot of the people who do participate in the class do contribute to the Friends of the Library fundraising for the class, but some people aren't able to. And it's nice to be able to just offer the classes for free and not have money be a part of it. So Christine has her hand up.
Yeah,
I just want to, I do look at participation. We have at least 19, at least, every class participants. So that's all.
great. This is really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, what we're going to be doing actually next, and you're certainly welcome to stay if you would like, or we can report back just to look at some of the program ideas that we've had. Are people ready to move on to looking at program ideas, or are there more things that anyone would like to say about providing funds for the
Or
class?
just questions for me, because I won't stay for your meeting. So if you
Okay.
have questions for me.
Great, okay. Christine?
I just want to tell you, this is a very important fitness program that we have for the town of Shutesbury, because there's a lot of people that depend on it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your feedback about that. For some reason, a football field came up on my screen. There, now it's gone. And this is something that really fits in with our mission as well. So, you know, between the historical, the need, the mission, this is definitely something that we will be giving very serious consideration too, in the light of the ideas that we've been brainstorming. So thank you, Mary Ann.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mary
Thanks,
Ann.
Mary Ann.
Bye.
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 I'm
Okay.
jealous that she was outside.
I know.
We're the recreation committee. We
The
should be
wind's
outside.
blowing and the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at the red tent and wondering whether it was okay to ask if we could use her tent, but I thought maybe this wasn't the time.
How far?
Only
Maybe
after we've given
after
her the
we
money that
commit
she
some
wants.
money.
So, I was gonna put together a Google Doc and send it around, and I had all these months and I didn't do it. But one of the things, there's a couple things that I want to put on in terms of headings, and one is whether it's going to cost any money, because some of the things aren't going to cost any money. We actually were a little hard pressed to spend all our money, even when we had the $1,500, because we don't really do anything that costs much money. The biggie was Brian and the invasive plants. And this is going to clearly be up for discussion, but we've had him come twice. He cost $600. And I kind of want that to be out there. Is this going to be an annual thing, or do we feel like we've, don't need him to come back, want him to come back? The farm is something that we've done now 2 years in a row that people really seem to like. It's a kind of a real community building thing. We did the Jefferson Safe Haven for the first time this year, also something that was really well received, and another just delightful time with people from Shutesbury looking at these animals and learning about them. So those were the ones that cost, I think we gave both. Jefferson was at $250. I think that we gave $250 to Zoe, and then it was $600 for Brian. Some of the money went toward family field day. I'd have to look. I can't remember where the rest of the money went, but I was really kind of thinking,
I was
What?
thinking we used about, oh my gosh,
80.
Christine,
Like
$80.
86 bucks.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we also gave money to Stephen for the,
Oh, right.
those
That was a
cups.
that was a big one. You're right, the cups.
and
Yeah.
we paid for skates, didn't we? Did we get any?
We didn't
I
get
don't-
any, no.
I don't
no.
think so.
That's the money that we then diverted over to the cups.
Okay.
Mhm. So just something to keep in mind as we look at some of the things. Now, I started making a list of things that we talked about last time and some that have come up. And I know Anne has an idea and I have an idea because Elaine thought it was a good idea. Otherwise, I wouldn't have an idea. So
Wow. Maybe I should have run my idea from you, Elaine.
Of course.
So one of the things that I want us to do, I'm going to send out a Google Doc, is to put, and I'll have a little key up there. Does it cost money? Is it like a small dollar amount or a double dollar amount? Or we need to find that out. Who's willing to take the lead on it? So if it's on there, but no one's willing to do it, we're not doing it. I don't care how wonderful it sounds. And then sort of a description of what it is. So here's what I had from last time. Walks co-sponsored with the Open Space Committee. And we bounced a bunch of ideas around. And as I recall, where we landed were 4 sponsored walks, 1 in each season. And, it could be led by one of us. I sent an email to Gail and she suggested that I send the request to Penny, which I will do. But, and we would need to talk about for these walks, is this for all ages? How accessible do we want to make things? How long? All of that kind of thing. Like, what's the point of the walk? So that costs nothing. That's one idea. Another, and these have come up several years, and I think this may be the year to do it, which is that we have expertise in town, for example, for mushrooms, and having a mushroom identification walk, or going to someone's home who's growing mushrooms. So there's kind of a how to do this, and that could even be two separate things. And again, costs nothing or is minimal. Another idea that came up last time was to do pickleball classes once the pickleball is inside, and that also wouldn't cost anything because there's a lot of pickleball expertise among the people who are playing pickleball. And so, you know, it might be fun to kind of put that out there, and people who haven't played come and learn, costs nothing. Something that I've put out there several times, which would cost something, is a dry stone wall class. And I don't know whether or not this would be the year to do it, or if we want to wait for the excavation to start on the library, because I'm sure there will be lots of rocks. But there's two people in town who are very good at making dry stone walls. We would want to compensate. What we've talked about in the past is that we compensate people for whom this is their living. So, you know, we compensate Zoe because this is what she does. We're asking her, as the farmer who gets paid to be a farmer, to lead these. We might decide we want to, and I'm just kind of throwing these things out here. These are not decisions. They're just literally popping into my head. We might want to pay a stipend to who does the mushrooms, but I think that's different than somebody who's making their living at whatever it is they're doing. We've talked about gardening workshops. I think that especially as we're coming up on eventually being able to start the gardens, that these would be helpful, you know, for people who don't know how to grow vegetables, who need help about selecting what kinds of vegetables would you put in your plots, how do you prepare the ground, all of those. There's just, I'm sure there's a gazillion different things. And again, we could probably do that without any cost because there's expertise. Oh, that would be Elaine. She's one. BZ. No, you know, you've been doing it for a long time, but just people who you know, can just give neighborly help on.
Yeah, but I would prefer to postpone that for another year.
Okay.
So that we could use the library site for that.
Okay, that's a very good idea. Then the idea that I wasn't presenting this to Elaine as something to do, but rather when I was working, I used to do this graduate seminar, and it was called Learning by Analogy. And I taught graduate students in management, and what I had them do is sit in a room and read poetry, and we'd read poetry out loud to each other. And then I would ask them, what does this teach you about, in this case, it was organizations. So here were students who probably the last time they had anything to do with poetry was probably in high school, where the high school teacher saying, this is what it means. And instead, the whole focus is on how do you develop a relationship between yourself and the poem. And I also did art. What's the relationship? If you're just looking at a piece of art, is this, you know, what can you learn from it? Or listening to a piece of music. So it isn't about being right. It's about creating a relationship between oneself and the poet or the artist or the musician. And Elaine said, I would go to that. So if it sounds like something people would go to, then I could see offering kind of a poetry session, a art session, and a music session. So that's another idea. I expect to be paid handsomely for that, though. So
Okay, so I'm going to talk for Christine M.
yeah,
This is up her alley.
that's right. That's right.
Christine.
Yeah. So those are some ideas. Some cost, you know, $250, $300. Others don't cost anything at all. And then Anne got approached about a really interesting idea.
Yeah, so I was talking with Joan Green, and I know Christine R knows Joan well. And it was funny because it was after our last meeting, and we were just having a general conversation. Joan is a professional artist, and she was saying that she really wanted to organize an art fair in town, and that she had this idea. She said, you know, I don't think the artists, the home tours work because people don't like to go place to place, which was kind of funny because we had just had that conversation. She said, but I was thinking it would be great to do something juried see if we could do it at the SAC under the pavilion. And, you know, I don't think it would cost any money, but it would be great if someone in town would sponsor it just to help with the publicity. And I said, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because we were just talking about this on the rec committee. And I think it's a great idea. And Joan is really willing to do a lot of the work. As Christine might know, she has some strong opinions about how it should be run. But some of them are very good. Like she was saying, she thought people should submit an application because it's not a place for people who, you know, buy necklaces off the web and then they sell them and say that it's their own work. It would really be for artists who create their own work. I talked to Becca Wheeler, who's my neighbor, and I happened to run into her, and she was like, I think that would be a fabulous idea. She was saying it might be nice to have it run up to maybe 4 o'clock. So then the SAC, I don't know, and maybe some of you know, like what time the Shutesbury Athletic Club opens on the weekend. So just so if they did agree to host it there, that they might make a little money if people, you know, bought a beverage afterwards. Maybe there's an opportunity for a bake sale. I don't know. I don't want to make it, you know, all things to all people necessarily, but I think it's a good idea. I'm happy to commit to it. I know Joan is more than happy to do a lot of the work. And I think that's it.
Now, you had talked a little bit about recommended timing. Was it something for the spring?
Yeah, she had said, and I haven't talked to her about it in a little bit, but she had, because I had said something about the summer, and she said, well, people are often away during the summer. So I know she was thinking either spring or then fall. You know, spring in Shutesbury, it could be May.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'd have to check and see if the Shutesbury Athletic Club would be willing to do it. And I said, you know, it could be nice if the Recreation Committee supported it, like maybe a couple of us could be there. It was on Saturday and we could help artists unload their car or set up. And she was, I don't know, artists are used to doing that. And I was like, Joan, we're just trying to be helpful, you know? But
I'll help.
Yeah, I would love to help with that too.
yeah, I
I'll
think
help.
it would be great.
Great. So those are some of the ideas that are out there. Are there others, things that we haven't mentioned that you kind of would envision seeing? Yeah, Christine.
The celebration. I'm gonna be 60, girlfriends.
right.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Celebrate, come on, go on, whatever.
Are we
Yeah.
talking about that birthday thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, are we, I know we're involved with that. Are we contributing money to that?
No, we
Oh,
voted
fine.
not to contribute money. We voted just to contribute our work. So I've gone 2 nights, one to address to address postcards that went to people, and I addressed Christine's. You were on my list.
I got a girlfriend and they were so cute. I love them.
So, and then we made some posters, which you will see, very silly ones based on kind of Burma shave. So it'd be a poem divided between 2, you know, lawn boards, and then a third one that would say what it is. So I have some particularly cute ones.
No, I love it. They're on my curbside. So yeah.
Yeah. So there's opportunities to make muffins, or cupcakes, to, you know, bring stuff to it. It should be a nice celebration.
Where is it going to be again?
It's going to be on the town common. I should have this burned into my brain. It's on
September 10th.
September 10th.
September 10th, and it's in the afternoon, I think 3 to 5 p.m., something
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
so.
It is. 'Cause I have
Yeah.
conflict.
So, yeah, I mean, I went twice. I'm gonna keep going on the Thursday nights. And so if other things are, anybody can come. I mean, the Thursday night dinners are open for anybody who would like to come and join and have some. They call themselves LOL, for Laughing Old Ladies.
Yeah. And they
do
have
that
fun
a lot.
too.
Yep.
They have fun.
It turns out it's not a them, it's an us. So anybody is welcome.
Exactly.
Yes. So, yeah, so I'll find out more. Anybody who wants to come, just, show up between 5 and 5:30, and dinner is in Eaton. And as of right now, I think there's some ideas about making funny hats and crowns and just basically making it a silly fun event. So, yeah,
Meetings
so
with the
that's our
SAC.
commitment. That's our commitment.
Okay, the meetings are Thursdays at the SAC at 5 or 5:30?
They
Sorry.
meet between 5 and 5:30 for dinner, and then this has been, at this point, this is the primary focus, is doing things for this event. This is an ongoing group, apparently.
Mhm.
On Thursdays. So, yeah, so we're doing that. I just put that up on our webpage because we are sponsoring it, or co-sponsoring it with the Council on Aging. Yeah, so there's that, and I think those are all the ideas. What I would suggest is that we all give some thought between now and the September meeting about whether there are other things that we're dying to do. Oh, I just thought of another one that someone had brought up. And that is, it was at the farm day. It was Gail Fleischiger, is that how you pronounce her name?
Yes.
Anyway, Gail, okay. She, Zoe at the farm offers a cheese making class.
Mm.
And that sounded like kind of a cool thing to do. The only thing that I have a hesitancy about it is that I don't know how much it's going to cost per person. It could be a bit pricier, and it's very limited in who can come. So, suppose it's $40 per person and 10 people come. Do we want to spend $400 so 10 people can learn to make cheese? My sense is no, that does not feel right to me. This seems something to, maybe just let people know that that's happening, and that if people want to get in touch with her about making cheese, they can, but not, I'm personally, I'm seeing other heads shaking. So is there agreement that that's really not a good use of our money? Yeah, okay.
Not if it's that pricey.
Yeah, I think I'll check with her to find out how much she charges, but there's all the materials, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making the cheese. So, and then plus her time. So it wasn't an inexpensive thing.
Yeah.
How much did you say she wanted?
I don't remember, but this bell is going off that she was saying something like $40 a person, but I could be completely and totally wrong, because the bells in my head are frequently wrong, increasingly wrong. That's what I'm looking for.
And she could only accommodate 10.
I just made that number up out of the blue, just saying, so if only but suppose it was only 5 people, it's still, a large, I'll find out how much it is. And then, I just put together a group of people who feel like making cheese, but not have it done under the auspices of this committee. So here's what I suggest then. I will put these ideas. Oh, Christine, it looked like you were about to say something.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, can I add to the list? Or I don't really exactly have something to add to the list. I mean, I really would love us to really do those guided walks this year, whether just for recreational purposes or like mushrooming or whatever. I'd love to make those happen, even if we need to pay. I don't know if we, I think like the mushrooming, we'd probably have to pay that expert, whatever, but whatever. And then I also was thinking, I was trying to think about like before Anne said about the art, juried art show, I was thinking about how, we've talked, Beezy in particular has talked about some type of creative, cheese making or cooking, it could be art making, but maybe, I don't know, maybe somehow, I don't have an exact idea, but maybe sponsoring some type of a day that is around, not a whole day, but I mean, something in the wintertime, maybe indoors if we have a place to do it. That's around.
Just wait till we have the library.
Right. But in the meanwhile, whether it would be some type of food thing or some type of art thing or whatever, I was thinking about that. And also I wondered did we completely give up on the sort of adventure in the woods?
Pretty
thing?
much, because the cost was just so much, and then we weren't gonna own it or get to use it without permission. The whole, plus it turns out if we wanted to try to do something like that, there is actually an orienteering course on the golf course that's, I can't remember which golf course, but apparently there's an orienteering court that was put together
it's,
by this guy, Phil, who's the husband of this woman I know. And he's like this major orienteering person. So we would be able to do that for practically nothing now if we wanted to organize that.
Where
But-
that in town in Shutesbury?
No,
No,
it's in
it's,
Amherst. Not Cherry Hill, or is it?
yes, it is Cherry
It
Hill.
is Cherry Hill.
It is Cherry Hill.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do
it
it
was
right there at
just
Cherry
getting-
Hill.
Yeah, it was gonna be more than the money that we were able to get. And then we would have had to ask for more. And that was a big investment for something that we wouldn't even own.
Right.
So the whole thing got, the other thing is, oh, never mind, that's separate. So in terms of the guided walks, there's the mushrooms. I also wrote down spring ephemerals. What would be some other, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody, something that I would love would be identifying trees by their bark in the winter.
Hmm.
That's a good one for winter.
Yeah,
I always like a fern walk.
fern walk. What's a good time of year for a fern walk?
Hmm.
Well, I think
Spring. Spring?
Well, but Christine, I wonder if it's closer to summer because you have to have their fronds unfurl so you can.
Mm.
Because when I did it the one time and Mary Ann sponsored it, we just the guy who led it, we just did it on Montague Road, and they identified 20 different ferns. Now, to me, before this walk, they look like 3 different types of fern. You know,
Yeah.
so you really need them to mature a little bit because there's differences in their leaves. So it could be summer.
Do you remember who led that?
Yeah, it was Janice Stone's husband.
Oh, okay. So maybe just ask if this is something that he would be willing to do.
I don't know, Elaine, you're raising an eyebrow. Do you know who
I
this?
I don't know that he's around anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I think he might be, but
Mm.
he was. I mean, I don't. We're recording, but it might be interesting to look for
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah. Well, the
It
other
could
thing
be.
is we could brainstorm a list of things to do for guided walks. We don't have to do them all
Yeah.
this year. And then we can kind of put feelers out of, who are people who know something about this.
Yeah.
And I think this is the kind of thing that we've talked about, that there's a lot of expertise in town. When we're putting it together and putting the little dollar signs, I would say something like an honorarium of $50 for somebody
Mhm.
would be a small dollar sign or $1 sign, whereas something like the farm visit would be $3 signs, and then
Oh, that's a
anything
good idea.
is in between to give us a sense of what does it actually look like in terms of our costs.
Yeah. And to Christine M's point, I think if we asked the mushroom person if it was somebody who grew them and that's what they did for their living, then they would move up into the
Yep.
$3 sign category.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I will put that together, get that sent out so people can add. Other ideas that you have. Some of these ideas we will wait on. I think, Elaine, you're right. In terms of the gardening, it makes sense to wait until we're actually getting started with that. Same thing with the dry stone wall. But others, we're coming into fall, and so that will be our first walk. That'll be our first walk. And I'm trying to think what are things that are guided. What would be a really interesting guided walk would be to look at how different perennials are setting their seeds. Just kind of wild in the woods would be kind of interesting to see. How is it that and what kind of changes are we seeing because of climate change? Are there plants that we're seeing more of that their seeds are coming up? This is a more favorable environment. Anyway, that could be just really interesting to do. Anything else? in terms
You know,
of-
there's that, I know you've all been, I think, but I have not been able to make it to, and I lost all my tires one time that I tried, to the Ames Pond, you know, the Janowitz
Oh,
land.
yeah.
I
That should
tried
definitely.
to get there, and one tire got a nail in it, and they told me this meant I had to replace all 4 tires because I have 4-wheel drive or whatever it's called. Anyway, it was very bad. So I don't know. I've never found it. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to find it, but I went off on the road and I thought I'll drive around and maybe find it. So anyway, I don't know how to find it, but isn't that one that would be, is it sort of ready to have people come in
Oh, yes, it definitely is. And and it's pretty easy to find once you, of course, now yeah, traffic, they have to use that
Right.
portion of
Right.
Wendell Road because of the dam being out. So traffic is pretty heavy there, but you should be able to find it just driving down that road because there's signs and everything for it.
driving a Wendell Road.
Wendell Road, the old Wendell Road part, the dirt part.
Yeah, I couldn't, it was blocked off the day I tried and I wasn't able to go any further, and then I lost my tires. So probably if it hadn't been, you know, there were like trucks and stuff, they were doing stuff. And
They were
anyway.
probably working on that ditch, and then also they're doing improvements on it. So Kestrel got money from community preservation to make improvements there and to make some signage improvements and improve the parking lot and accessibility, the path out to at least to the pond. So maybe that's what we can check in and see if things have progressed pretty farther, because that's a beautiful place to walk.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one, maybe not for the fall, or we'll see how far it's gotten for determining whether to do it as a fall walk, but we should probably consider a date in October for a fall walk.
Isn't mushrooming a fall? Is mushrooming
It is.
a fall thing? Yeah.
Okay, so
Fall
we
and spring, I think.
could do a mushroom, find out about the mushrooms, and then just have the guided walk, just the plain old taking a walk on exploring trails in Shutesbury, which is what Janowitz's property would be. Okay. And can you see if you can get the name of the mushroom person?
I don't know the mushroom person.
Oh, who was talking about the mushrooms?
There was a woman in town who did it for the library. She had just recently moved to town at the time I did the walk. It was a few years ago now. It was probably before COVID. God. Yeah, I could try to find out that woman, or I could just try to put out feelers for someone. It doesn't have to be that woman, although she was good.
Boy, my brain
definitely
is
want somebody
kind of
good.
off today, but one of Wim, what's Wim's last name?
Oh,
Wim, he's a doctor, and he lives down on at the elbow of Wendell Road. What's Wim's last name? Oh, I can't remember.
yeah.
But he's a really good mushroom person.
Oh, okay.
Mushroom identifier.
Fantastic.
Good friend of Beezy's. He's done identification with her. So there's a pull
Oh,
Beezy
good.
in on that.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great one, Elaine.
And then we can ask her, can you get a hold of BZ about that, Elaine?
Sure.
And
Put it in
then,
the minutes,
and
and
then
then
we
maybe
also
she'll
want
read
to know
it.
what?
I said, put it in the minutes and maybe she'll read it.
Right when pigs fly, right? So what I would recommend is that we ask Wim, once we're in touch with Wim, what's the best time of year? And then kind of go from there. And then the Janowitz property is ready for September or January or October walk, then we do that for our fall. Otherwise, kind of a nice one, though there isn't any view, is to kind of circle up onto Poverty Mountain. There's a nice way to make a nice loop there, another, and then to go up to where the waterfalls are. So that could be a very pretty walk off of Sand Hill Road. So those are a couple also that we could consider for the fall. Whatever we do in the winter should probably be flatter and for snowshoes. And I will send an email to Peggy from the Open Space Committee to see if they have any interest in participating in this and advertising it.
Is it crazy? It probably is, and I'm going to reveal that I don't know what they cost, but we couldn't like buy snowshoes for the library, like the way the library has kayaks, which then people could check out and use, right? That would be too expensive.
It would be expensive.
It would be expensive, but we also, I would say that the library has no place to store them right now.
Yeah, would be the new library maybe.
True. Yeah.
Since you mentioned the library, Christine, I just wanted to go back to something Barbara had said before about the invasive plants workshop, and then about what Marianne said. I do think, from my point of view, I'm interested in supporting things that have gotten a good turnout, and both years Brian's workshops have gotten a good turnout. Whether we do something with him again or do somebody else, I think is up for discussion, but something that's about plants seems to draw people, and it's not the same crowd that comes to Family Field Day or goes to the farm. So I think that's important. And I'm really impressed with what Marianne and Christine R said about the attendance at the classes, the fitness classes. And I do think it's nice to have new programming, but also to support successful programming is just something that I'm personally very interested in. I think it's a good use of funds.
Yeah, my sense, and we'd have to ask her, is that their need is not going to be an ongoing need, because right now so much effort is, every penny that they raise is going towards the library. Whereas once the library is done, then the fundraising can include those classes again.
Yeah,
that's an
Just be a
assumption I
shame
would
if-
make.
Right, it would be a shame if they stopped when they're
Yeah.
really supporting. It seems like they're supporting a real need and
Christine?
interest.
I found Wim Levine is his name.
Yep.
Levine. Wim
Thank you.
Levine.
I just noticed the time. It's just 5 o'clock. So I think that we should adjourn. I'll get this stuff typed up, sent out. We can add to it. And then see where we stand, especially just kind of doing a projection of what it looks like we're likely to spend. Is there a move to close the meeting? End the meeting? Okay, Christine, a second. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, note that the meeting was adjourned at 5 p.m. and